The year that I turned 11, living in Miami, Florida, plaid jackets were still in. Philadelphia 76ers had the title. Rolling Stone magazine came out for the first time. And I watched my mother try on nightgowns for the first and last time. In my pajamas, hiding behind the curtains. In the bedroom with us was our housekeeper, Juanita. My mother holds a gown up and says to Juanita, "Do you think I'll be pretty enough in this one?" My mother was a head-turner. She got her height from her father, her tan from poolside afternoons, and her blondness from 5 or 6 wigs she kept on white styrofoam heads on her bedroom bureau. Taller, tanner, blonder than all the divorced moms in our neighborhood. And when she wasn't home, I liked to sneak into her room, and I would sometimes bring 1 or 2 of the heads back into my room for a little target practice. I'd set up an improvised target range. I liked to whip things at them. Candies, gumballs, chocolates, suppositories, whatever I could find in the drawer. You see, my mother was getting married again, and not to my father. Now this was to be her, and these nightgowns she had purchased for the honeymoon. Now it was going to be the 2nd marriage for my mother, but for her fiancé in Washington, D.C., a doctor, it was to be the 5th. But this we didn't know until after all of us had moved up to Washington, D.C. The moving truck is out of the driveway, the sofas are unwrapped on the floor, and the mezuzahs are nailed to the door. But right now, my mother has only one question. She says, "Juanita, do you think this nightgown reveals enough?" Well, Juanita just laughed and shook the bed with her heaviness and said, "Mrs. Stahl, what a silly question. He's going to be under that nightgown before you can say fried chicken." Juanita's fried chicken was the best I ever had. And 12 months later, after the divorce, when we are all back in Miami with the nightgowns, and my mother is dating again, it's fried chicken she wants on the table when a man comes to dinner. And after the meal, the man would stand up and say, "Nina, that was the best fried chicken I've ever had." And then they took my mom out to one of the shows in town, or maybe to the beach to hear some music at one of the hotels. And after they would drive off, sometimes the scent of the man's aftershave would linger around the dining room table. Now, one Friday night, a man came to dinner named Big Marty. Big Marty, in our living room, in a plaid jacket, took up as much space as an ice cream truck. And I liked him right away, because when he came in, he shook my hand and looked me right in the eye. Not like the other guys who shook my hand way too hard and too fast, looking right over my shoulder. Their cigarettes were lit. But Marty explained to me that his extra size was due to something he called water weight. Now, I didn't know what water weight was, or whether to believe him, but I liked having him in the living room. And then a week later, Marty comes back to play ball with me in the driveway, and he brings with him a sweatsuit, and it was airtight. It was made of rubber or plastic or Teflon, but it was airtight, cinched at the waist, to lose the weight. And we start to play ball, and in the hot Florida sun, Marty starts to heat up. And we're bouncing, we're shooting balls, shooting baskets, and after 5 or 6 minutes, suddenly Marty is stopping, and he's panting, and he's planting his feet, and he's suddenly lifting the top of this thing, and out gushes a torrent of sweat. And he looks at me in the eyes and says, "The water weight." Well, I look at this leg forming under his feet, and I think, wow, it is the water weight. This guy's telling the truth. Well, unfortunately, Marty did not marry my mom. he moved on, but before he did, he bought me a plaid jacket just like his, in miniature. And one night after dinner, he didn't drive off with her. He gets to the front door and he says, "Judy, tonight, you stay in. I'm taking Jimmy to a movie." I'll never forget that night. We laid our jackets out in the backseat of the car. But I'll never forget Marty's attention, the attention he gave to my mother and me. The plaid jackets, the wigs, and the nightgowns that I think made it all happen.